the one who says that I am the beginning and the end, the one who made the sun, the moon, the stars, and all that we see that is within the earth. If he is for you, the Bible says, who then shall be against you? There are certain things that you have to shut the door and not make it a public sin. For in making it a public sin, you attract unwanted crowds and unwanted people. Greetings once again and welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss when a new video pops up, right? Now, keep in mind, guys, that you are now available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, as well as on Amazon Music, and you can be sure to follow us on any of those 6 different platforms, right? Now, also keep in mind, guys, that you are now available on YouTube, and this is to the podcast team. You can find us on YouTube at Ashley Jarera, and you can be sure to follow us as well on that platform. Now, today, guys, we are going to be talking about when God blesses you, shut the door. Or rather, when God is in the process of blessing you, shut the door. And that is what we're going to be talking about today, guys. So for you to find out more, should we really open the door or rather shut the door? Stay tuned to find out more. Now today, guys, we are going to be getting our context from the book of 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 3 and verse 4 as well, right? That's where we're going to be getting our context from. 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 3 and verse 4. And verse 3 and 4 reads as follows. Then he said, Go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, so what was going on, right? How did this point get to this point when now Elisha is telling this woman, go and borrow vessels. Don't just borrow the empty ones. Borrow even others and make them a lot. How did we get to this point? Now, if we take our Bibles a bit back to how the chapter began, we see now that as the chapter began, this woman then comes to Elisha and says that I have 2 sons, and these 2 sons, they want to be taken to be bondmen because my husband owed the creditor money. Now, I don't have the money to pay back this creditor, right? So then this creditor now wants to take my sons and make them bond men. So she comes to Elisha and she cries unto him and she says, this is what's happening. I don't have money, I don't have anything, but they want to take my sons to be bondmen. And this is how she's talking to Elisha, right? So when it comes to this point, now Elisha then asks her, what is it that you have in your house? Then Elisha, in doing so, right, then the woman says that, you know what, I don't have anything. The only thing that I have is just but a pot of oil. And she's talking to Elisha, and Elisha says, okay, that's fine. Now we come to verse 3 and verse 4, where we just read, guys. When then Elisha tells her, okay, now that you just have a pot of oil, go and borrow all the vessels that you can find, the empty ones, the full ones. Go and borrow all the vessels that you can find, right? So as we come to this point now, Elisha then tells her, now we are getting to our message for today, guys. Elisha then tells her that, you know what, but before you pour out the oil from the pot, make sure that the doors are shut. Make sure that you and your sons are inside and that the doors are shut, and that you do not do this in a public space. And we see this, and if you read further up until verse 7, Bible tells us that, and then all of that happened, and then the woman, all of it, she then poured all the oil into all the vessels that were there, the empty ones, and all the vessels that she had gathered. And she goes back to the man of God, and she says, you know what, all of these vessels are now full. What is it that I should do? And then Elisha then tells her, you know what, go and sell the rest, and you and your sons can live off the other ones. So then what is our message for today? So our message for today, guys, now remember this woman was told, shut the door. And our topic for today says that when God blesses you, when God is in the process of blessing you, make sure that you shut the door. So then how do you do this, right? In a world where there's social media, where everything, it's just at your fingertips to post your achievement. It's just at your fingertips to post what is actually going on in your lives, right? But here the message is telling us today that no, you shouldn't be doing that, right? But rather you should hold back and shut the door when God is busy in the process of blessing you, or when God is actually in the process of bringing things to you. You should not be open. Just imagine if she had decided to pour the pot of oil in a public space. What was going to happen? What was really going to happen? And people see her taking oil from a pot of oil, filling vessels, and those vessels are getting full, but the pot is not getting empty. Just imagine what was going to go on there, right? So okay, let us keep in mind, guys, let us shut the door when God is blessing us. When you get that brilliant idea, right, to start a business, to get that brilliant idea to move from one level to another, make sure that you shut the door and let God be the one that deals with you, right? Do not be quick to post the idea and say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want. No, guys, the Bible is clearly telling us, when you get that idea, make sure that you shut the door. Now, the other one, guys, when you are also in the process to get that promotion, make sure that you shut the door. It is not everyone that is happy for you, right? So when you are in that process, make sure that you shut the door. Also, guys, another one, when you're also in the process of acquiring that tender, make sure that you shut the door. Make sure that you don't make it a public thing, guys, and you now start telling other people, oh, I'm now in the process of acquiring a tender. If I get this tender, my life is going to change, and you start telling everyone about it. No, guys, that's not what it's supposed to be. But you should actually shut the door. Now, if you also go again, guys, when you're in the process of getting that car, shut the door. Do not be out there telling people, I want to get this car, I want to get that one, I want to get that one, I want to get that one. But God is saying today that make sure that you shut the door. Now, also, guys, when you are in the process of getting that dream guy, that guy that you've been praying for, right? When you're in the process of getting him, right? Make sure that you shut the door. Make sure you don't tell it to other people, even when you meet him or anything like that. Make sure that you shut the door. Also, when you're in the process of getting that dream girl that you've been praying for or whatever, guys, make sure that you shut the door, right? Make sure that it is not a public thing. It is just between you and God. And that is something that I just want us to keep in mind, guys. So with the social media age that we live in, we have to learn to shut the door, right? Let people see the results, but the process, let that be between you and God. Do not show the process to the world, guys. The process should be between you and God. Now, otherwise, now let us go further. Like we said, guys, we said that imagine if she just did it in a public space. Just imagine if she did that in a public space. What was going to happen? And she opened the doors and everyone was going to see she's pouring the oil into the vessels. What was going to happen? So let us just keep in mind, guys. Let us just keep in mind to say that sometimes when God is blessing you, when God has decided to put favor upon your life, let us remember, shut the door, right? Do not make it a public thing, right? There were many people who were destined for greatness. Many people were destined to go to further heights, but because they opened the door, right, and they made it a public scene when it was supposed to be a private scene, right? Then now they were not able to attend those things. Remember, not everyone would be happy for you and everything like that, right? So keep in mind, there are certain things that you have to shut the door. In conclusion, guys, let us keep in mind, there are certain situations that you have to shut the door, right? There are certain times where it does not have to be a public thing, but it just has to be between you and God. By opening the door at some times, right, you invite unwanted crowds and unwanted things in your life, but rather learn to shut the door and let God work within you, right? And let God show his blessings unto you, but rather shut the door. Not everything has to be a public thing. Not everything has to be made known to everyone else, right? To show that, no, my life is intact, my life is on point, my life is going well. There are certain things that you have to shut the door and hold back and let God be the one that deals with you. Now, just a food for thought, right? One day, maybe when we're excited, guys, we can then go into having been given the pot of oil and all the vessels are full. And we go to verse 7. The man of God then says that, go and sell the rest and pay your debt. Perhaps Perhaps there are blessings that God gives you, but then because you have the blessings, you have to go and do the work on top of that, right? And that is just something that we get on verse 7, right? That there are certain things that God gives you, but for them to be fruitful unto you, you have to put in the work. But that's a topic for another day, guys. But for today, keep in mind, there are certain things that you have to shut the door and not make it a public scene. For in making it a public scene, you attract unwanted crowds and unwanted people. And that is the end of our message for today. May God bless you.
Now, just another food for thought, right? In shutting the door, you allow God to multiply that which that He's blessing you with. But by opening the door, you cause the supply to be shortened, all because you have opened the door. So allow God to multiply that which that He wants to multiply in your life, and shut the door. That was just a food for thought, guys. So yeah.
God is not a man that he should lie, neither is he a son of man that he should repent upon his word. So hold on to those promises and keep in mind, when God says he will not leave you, he surely means it.